Hello, I'm Joe, and welcome to the Disabled Vet Workshop, DVW, premiere episode. First, I'd like to give a shout out from me and my buddy Brian Johnson of Crazy Artist Productions, the guy who will be editing my videos for your viewing pleasure. We'd like to give a shout out to all the disabled veterans, all the veterans, and all the active military personnel. Thank you for your service. Without it, we wouldn't be able to have our standard of living, and I wouldn't be able to bring you this. Today, we're going to make you a rocket out of a whole bunch of just aimless stuff. It's a movie prop, so it doesn't have to have any functionality as far as flying through the air and exploding. So as you can see here, I have an assortment of materials that I have brought together. I have glue gun over here. Those things are always pretty handy. We got a tube of some sort that I have no idea what came in it. We have a cylinder from a Nerf Maverick, also a pin from the same Maverick, a film canister, a iced tea drink top, some fins and we'll use epoxies, torch to melt things together, duct tape. We've got all kinds of paints to use. Also, I have a tray behind me in my shop full of all kinds of just weird things that I could use. So this is the first video I've ever actually put together for any real reason by myself. And my buddy Brian Johnson said, hey, do it with your cell phone. So all the footage here is done with cell phone. The cell phone challenge. He had to do it in school, so he's making myself and some of our other friends do the same thing. So without any further delay, let's go ahead and start put together a rocket. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm actually going to get some Loctite epoxy general purpose 5-minute putty. And I'm going to use something for a stirring stick. I should have thought about that before I put this video together. Here we go. Look, stirring screw, 3-inch screw. How about that? So since we're using this, let's see if I can secure it. Spin it and get the epoxy on it. Looks like I got a nice layer on there. So we will center that. And because this is a Nerf cylinder, it gives us 3 points that make a really good way to judge how centered you are. 3 screw points. We are now somewhat solid. So now what we're going to do to fill up the cracks around here is to, actually, you know what? Cracks look okay. It'll give a little extra indentation for the rocket, like something was put together. So what we'll do next is we'll put down kind of a thruster looking bottom, and this time we'll just apply it with hot glue. Now this one we're gonna have to fill in the gaps with hot glue. Okay, so very quick, very sleek rocket. Nothing too fancy, not yet. This might be the first Huey rocket. And if you want to know who Heward is, go to Crazy Artist Productions on YouTube, and you will find a show called Mercs. And now I'm going to decide what kind of fins to put on this thing, and what other kind of interesting things we could do to make it look futuristic, Mercsy, if you went and saw the show. So I'm thinking that these might actually be too big of a fin for it. As big and gaudy as they are, that could be cool, but perhaps these smaller fins will work better. So I'll go ahead and get a pen over here, and we will mark how far up the rocket this thing will actually be in contact. So we will know exactly where to put our glue bits. I don't know how many of these are actually going to use. Okay. So let's start putting rocket fins on. Well, first, I should probably see this, because we have an even number of cylinders here. There's 6 of them, so I probably should go 3. My buddy Dietrich would be telling me right now, dude, you need your wire brush, little tiny toothbrush looking wire brush for cleaning spark plugs and battery terminals in cars, because those are really good for collecting all the little hot glue strands. So sorry, Dietrich, but I don't have one of those. Maybe you should get me one for Christmas or something. So also, when I scrape it, it pushes the glue off to the side, and it allows you to just rub off the excess, and it basically cuts it for you. Next, we're gonna spray paint. Primer. Okay, we're back. Now we have our rocket in primer. So now's the point where we actually do some extra details like lettering, stripes, pinstripes, blah blah blah. So I'm actually going to be putting some symbolization on it for Hyperthrust Cola, which is a Mercs product. So I'm going to pick the best side of the rocket. So now we got some futuristic script on there. Don't need those because Sharpies are lame. This has all been a test, and so far the test looks pretty darn cool, but while I was out waiting for my battery to charge enough, I cut some pieces of duct tape into little slivers so that I could put around this thing. And let's see where that gets us. So where we're going to start is on the opposite side of where our letters are, because that is going to be the good side of the rocket for any good shots. Okay, so now we have our rocket looking pretty badass. Now I'm going to put on a couple more strips. So that's how we made a movie prop rocket. I think it came out okay. We'll see if it makes it into an episode of Mercs or not. Thank you again for watching. I'm Joe, and this is the DVW. Thank you. So that's the hyperthrust propaganda rocket out there we just built. And because this was a challenge to use my cell phone, well, here was the rig that I made. 3 wood clamps to hold my phone up to film the DVW. Challenge complete.